Hello everyone, welcome to another Versus Video Deck Tech. I am Brian Braun-Duin, joined by...
Chris Van Meter.
Indeed, and we have Naya Midrange.
Big
range, yeah. It's a Naya Midrange deck featuring a smattering of planeswalkers and a smorgasbord of creatures that are really going to give our opponents some serious problems. This deck got top 16 at the last SCG Open, and I liked a lot of the aspects of the deck, namely this part over here, the Planeswalkers. I saw Planeswalkers and I got excited. I didn't look at the rest of the deck, didn't need to. But really what this deck does is you have Sylvan Carrington Voyaging Satyr to serve as kind of like mana ramp / early roadblocks, along with Corsair Crewfix, to kind of buy you the time to get into the late game where your Planeswalkers are going to kind of take over the game.
Now, this deck actually looks a lot like the deck that you played in the Pro Tour.
It does actually, yes.
So there's just a handful of Ravnica block cards and just a bunch of awesome Theros block cards. So the green-red Elspeth deck, as it was called at the Pro Tour, is very similar to this. And I think that this type of strategy is probably going to be pretty popular once Ravnica rotates out.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I actually wanted to name this deck Red-Green Keening Apparition, but was shot down.
Rats.
Yeah, rats. But yes, this is very similar to the block deck we played at the Pro Tour. In fact, as CVM said, we actually only have 3 cards that are not Theros
plus
block.
the lands.
Yeah, outside the lands, yeah. So this deck, if this deck is good, it definitely looks like it's going to be, like, it's going to survive rotation. So this is a deck that I would definitely look to if you're looking to get into standard but not have your cards like
reduce their value rapidly.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, I think this deck's kind of cool. We have a lot of it's kind of plays similar to a monster shell, but we have like a different top end with Ajani and Elspeth, kind of more robust but a little slower. Maybe like a little less immediately powerful. Like we don't have Gore Clan or anything like that. Mm-hmm. But definitely like better in like later games, just with the ability to, just with how much value these Planeswalkers can generate over the course of the game.
Absolutely. Plus Elspeth is just like one of, if not the best card in standard anyway. So
yeah. And then we also get access to like Celestia Charm too, which is a nice answer to old Big D or Desecration Demon.
Yep.
So I think this deck's kind of cool. I'm excited to play with it, and let's go ahead and take a look at the sideboard. All right, so one thing I noticed about the sideboard is that it's extremely slanted against aggressive decks.
Yep.
We have 4 Magma Jet, 2 Magma Spray, 2 Anger the Gods, and 2 Fiendslayer Paladins, which are all going to come in against aggressive decks to kill all their early creatures. And Fiendslayer Paladin is going to gain you some life, especially if you can get going with like a Johnny, really building him up into be quite the formidable threat.
Quite the Baneslayer.
Yeah, quite the Baneslayer, and then afterwards he's like the double Batterskull or something.
Bestowed Chromanticore.
Yeah, Bestowed Chromanticore, there it is. Past that point we have a Deicide. I could see Mono Blue being a significant problem for this kind of a deck.
Yep.
So I would actually want access to more than just one Deicide if I were playing this deck, because I don't want Thassa to stay in play very long.
Or some number of Banishing Lights somewhere in the deck.
Yeah, that would be one of the first changes I would look to make is Banishing Light. Maybe it's not that great, but I still like just the universal answer. We have another Elspeth, very good in a lot of the mid-rangey or grindy matchups. That's where Elspeth's going to come in, and then 3 Mistcutters for Mono Blue and Esper Control, where yeah, it's just really just like kind of a cut above some of the other creatures in the deck. Just able to pressure them. You can set up turns where you know that they're holding a Dissolve, and you can just jam your Mistcutter that turn. And then the next turn, like when they tap out to deal with your Mistcutter, that's when you play your Elspeth or something that can get dissolved.
Yep.
So there's a lot of power to Mistcutter Hydra in those matchups. And against Mono Blue, it's basically just a big unblockable threat. Which is very important for a deck like this, because you actually have to pressure them or you will eventually lose. It's really how it goes with Mono Blue. Like, you can't really... It's hard to attrition out a deck with Thassa or Biden of Thassa. So one of the best ways to beat them is to just put a lot of pressure on them and back it up with cards like Anger the Gods to like clear out all their guys.
Yep. Plus, unlike decks like Monsters, where you're able to use black removal to handle Master of Waves, this deck doesn't actually have any way to interact with Master of Waves. So you have to be proactive with your Jets and Sprays and Angers to make it so the Master isn't generating the huge advantage when they cast it. And if they do happen to get Master, then you have to lean on Anger and Mizium Mortars to clear away the tokens, and then just every Master they play after the first is just going to be better than the first.
Yeah. One thing I'm noticing is that I feel like I would want a 4th Mizium Mortars, probably over one of the Magma Jets or Magma Sprays, because none of these cards really kill Master of Waves, or sorry, Nightveil Spectre.
Yeah.
Which is important because you can't kill Master of Waves, but if you can kill everything else, you can really limit the effectiveness of Master of Waves. And having like these cards being unable to kill Nightveil Spectre makes it so even something like turn 3 Nightveil, turn 4 Master of Waves is going to just be very hard, and that's just 2 cards.
Yeah.
To beat just those 2 cards.
That they have 4 of each.
Yes.
And they always have in succession.
Yeah, they always have it too. That's one thing you have to learn. So, but yeah, all in all, I think this deck's pretty cool. It's definitely something I'm considering working on more, and I'm interested to see how it plays out against CVM's evil deck.
I'm always playing the bad guys.
Yeah, he's always the bad guy. I don't know. No, it's the beard.